Let's fade in. We're on Lucius Avenue. It's during the day. Skeletal trees line the sidewalks. Only half of the houses are raked. The others are vacant and graffitied. The windows broken and the doors kicked in. It's a typical Rust Belt neighborhood. Jonathan Riley, late 30s, rolls a trash can down his driveway. 3 houses down, he doesn't see Miss Lydia, old and a puckered face, drag a small can down of hers. Jonathan leaves his can at the curb and notices movement from the house across the street from Miss Lydia's. It's abandoned and vandalized, and the South Side niggas have left their signature in spray paint. Teddy Oliver, early 30s, disheveled, struggling to keep straight, walks around the back of the house. Teddy ignores everyone and buries his hands deep into the ratty folds of his trench coat. He walks with a limp down the sidewalk. Jonathan sees Miss Lydia notice Teddy, her jaw agape, and watching the strange bum walk down the street. Jonathan thinks to himself, shit. He rushes over to Miss Lydia, who's still frozen staring at Teddy across the street. Jonathan says to Miss Lydia, "You got any more, Miss Lydia?" She answers, "A few. Do you see that man come out of the McClellan's old place?" Jonathan replies, "I wasn't paying much attention." At that point, he walks back up her driveway. She cranes her neck to watch Teddy disappear around the corner. Miss Lydia then says, "People just coming in here and thinking they can move up into a place without paying for it?" Jonathan, "I'm sure he just needs a roof over his head until the bed opens up at the mission. I can't wait until God gets his chance to tell them how wrong they are. I thought God was supposed to forgive us our trespasses. Well, the police don't, and neither do I." They bring the rest of her tiny cans to the curb, and she sweetens. She pats him on the hand. "Thank you, Johnny. I wish God would have put more people like you down here with us." He just smiles, a big smile. She walks back inside her house. She looks one more time in the mysterious man's direction, even though he's long gone. Jonathan digs the truck keys out of his plaster-spattered work jeans. We're back outside on Auburndale Avenue. It's still day. Half of the houses on the street are also vacant. Teddy carries a 12-pack of cheap beer in one hand, 240s sticking out of a plastic bag in the other. An old pickup pulls up beside him on the street. Jonathan steps halfway out. "Excuse me?" Teddy keeps walking. "Excuse me?" Teddy turns and sees Jonathan standing by his truck. His eyes grow fearful, but only for a moment. Jonathan says, "I see you've been staying at the house on Lucius, 157. Teddy just stares at him. "I don't think it's a good idea to stay there tonight." Teddy replies, "The house is abandoned. There's no notice on the door. It's not illegal until the cops come themselves and tell me to move along. They're probably going to come tonight, but if it's slow enough and a bored cop wants to do something." Teddy just gives an icy stare. "It's not me who's going to call. When you left, my neighbor from across the street where you were staying saw you." The plastic bag holding the 40s began to rip, and Teddy cradles the bottles with an awkward arm. They clink. "She's already called on a couple of squatters already. One lady even had 3 kids, and Miss Lydia didn't even hesitate calling the police when she found out. I'm sure I don't stay there long. What I'm trying to say is that I know what it's like to be in a bad situation, Hell, I'm still kind of into one. Jonathan just looks at Teddy as he stares at him and says, "But if you need a place to stay," Jonathan shrugs, "I have running water at least. I'm sure that's better than dealing with the police all night, especially if you have a history." "I don't have a history with them," Jonathan says back to him. "It's up to you. The offer's there." Teddy looks at the long sidewalk in front of him and takes a deep breath. He looks back at the truck and finally decides to hobble over to Jonathan's passenger door. Jonathan gets back into the truck, leans over, pushes the door open. Teddy plops his beer on the floor and struggles to get in. "Thank you." "Anything for a vet." Teddy's eyes fill with fear just for a quick moment. "I'm barely 30 years old. How did you know I was a vet?" Jonathan nods towards Teddy's boots. "Military issue. You'll never see those at St. Vincent de Paul or the Mission Hall. Reverend Sherman pilfers out of the good stuff before it even makes it to the public." He holds out a hand. "I'm Jonathan." Reluctant, Teddy takes it. "Teddy Oliver." Teddy looks for an obvious reaction from Jonathan, but there is none. Jonathan asks, "Were you in Afghanistan or Iraq?" "Iraq." Jonathan motions to Teddy's bum leg. "Shot?" "If you don't mind me asking." "Just shrapnel. Nothing to be proud of." "Sure it is." Teddy looks at Jonathan and for the first time smiles. Back on Lucius Avenue. Before Jonathan's driveway, he stops and lets Teddy out. Teddy gimps to the vacant house he's been staying in and around the back door. In the basement, which is moldy, barren, except for smushed cardboard and empty beer cans, Teddy rolls a pillow for easy carrying. He searches the folds of his blanket on the floor and finds 2 push daggers. He shoves them carefully into the deep pockets of his trench coat. He rolls the blanket around the pillow and stands. He looks to a wall in the far corner. Dozens of pictures of Jonathan, all of them scotch-taped. Jonathan in his truck. Him walking into his house, leaving his house, all of them dated and timed. A mugshot of a much younger Jonathan also. Teddy shoves the pillow and blanket under an arm and buries his hands deep into his pockets of his trench coat, the ones with the push daggers in them. Inside Jonathan's kitchen, Jonathan washes his hands at the sink. Teddy sets the rolled-up blanket and pillow on the table next to a 12-pack and 2 40s. "You want one?" Teddy asked Jonathan. "No thanks. There's plenty of room in the fridge if you want to stick them in there, though." Teddy sticks the 12-pack and one of the 40s in the fridge. The other he sticks in the freezer. He looks at everything stuck to the fridge with magnets, newspaper coupons and flyers for food drives. Teddy asks, "You got a family?" "No, I dodged some bullets. Then I got my heart broke once or twice. Nothing major, though. Just shrapnel." Teddy gives him a ha. "I just saw you got 2 nice-sized turkeys in the freezer, so I wasn't sure if you were planning a big dinner for the holiday." Jonathan answers, "No, actually. I have 10 more in the icebox in the basement. I'm going to run them all down to the mission on Monday. They should thaw by Thursday." "Didn't you have a little kid in your truck a couple days ago?" "I didn't know you were watching." Teddy looks at him alarmed and shrugs. "I was walking by a window and glanced out." Jonathan just smiles. "That's Lucas. It's kind of a big brother thing, a volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club. I pick him up a couple of days out of the week and we go bowling or see a movie. I talk to him, see how school is, make sure there's nothing wrong going on at home." "You do a lot of charity work?" What I can when I can. Remember when I told you I'm kind of in a similar situation as you? And Teddy nods. I don't own it out here. I'm squatting too. Teddy laughs at the irony. Jonathan can't help but smile back. I have a little bit of gambling problem, and I had a bad year a while back. I'm still recovering from it. And Jonathan gestures to the house. I grew up here as a kid, but after my dad died, I let it go by the way of the bank. I'm just glad I got back here before the South Side niggas gutted out all the copper and toilets. Teddy lets out a chuckle. Then he says, well, you kicked your drinking problem. Think you can kick your gambling one? I'll find out once I can get some money saved up. What makes you think I have a drinking problem? Ain't there always a drinking problem when someone turns down a drink? Jonathan shrugs and let it go. How about you? You from around here? Teddy answers, Youngstown, born and bred. Did a couple of years in the Army, then came back here. When I did, they declared I had a problem with my, Teddy looks for the right word, anger. Jonathan replies for him. Emotions and anxiety, says Teddy. I just recently been starting to get myself under control, though. Jonathan nods. Well, like I said, you're more than welcome to stay. I got a couch you can crash on, or I have a small bed up in the attic, if you'd rather sleep there. It's not getting too cold out yet. Teddy picks up the pillow and blanket and grabs the 40 out of the freezer. The scene fades. We're now in Jonathan's bedroom, and it's night. We're now inside Jonathan's bedroom at night, and footsteps startle him awake. He looks over to his closed bedroom door. The bathroom light shines from under the crack of his door. The footsteps creep closer and closer, and a shadow stands in front of Jonathan's door. It pauses for an uncomfortable moment. Finally, the shadow disappears into the bathroom, and the light fades as the bathroom door softly closes. Jonathan hears a strong stream of urine hit both the toilet water and bounce off the porcelain wall of the bowl. The stream stops. The bathroom door opens again, and the light reappears under the crack of his bedroom door. The shadow stops again. Another long, uncomfortable moment. Then the bathroom light is switched off, and the footsteps creak back down the hallway and up the squeaky attic stairs. Once gone, Jonathan closes his eyes again. Four loud thuds on heavy wood. It's jarring. Jonathan gasps, and his eyes shoot open. 4 more loud thuds on a heavy door downstairs. He throws his shirt on and slips into his sneakers. He's now in his kitchen. Jonathan walks through and looks at the sink. 12 empty cans and 2 empty 40s sit haphazard on the kitchen counter. He shakes his head at them. 4 more thuds from the living room. These ones mean business. He's in his living room at the front door. Jonathan opens up the door. A mustached cop looks at him. You Jonathan Riley? Yeah. You know a Theodore Oliver? Jonathan thinks for a moment. I think so. Teddy? I let him stay here last night. The cop looks at him startled. He stayed here last night? With you? I felt bad. I told him he could stay here until a bed opens up at the mission. Do you know how long he's been staying at that house over there? Jonathan looks past the cop at the house. 3 cop cars sit in front. The officer stands in the front yard. One of them has Teddy face down on the ground, handcuffed behind his back. I first saw him about a week ago. Do you know him before this? No. I don't think there's any reason he should be arrested. I'm sure he was just getting something he forgot yesterday. He knows you, Mr. Riley. Jonathan stops. I'm sorry? He has a mugshot, Scotch tape in the basement over there. Jonathan thinks. I haven't been arrested since high school. He had my mugshot? I don't know how he knows you, but he has some pictures of you going and coming from there. Hundreds of them. What times you left, what times you got back. Jonathan digests everything. We didn't find any guns in the house, but when we showed up this morning, he was packing all the pictures. He had 2 United undercover push daggers on him. Pretty nice set, too. Military issue. Jonathan looks to Teddy on the ground, trying to keep his face turned away. The cop says, You're sure the man lying on the grass over there stayed in your house last night? Yeah. The cop gives a tiny laugh. The officer holding Teddy in the grass lifts him up and escorts him into one of the cruisers. Oliver. It hits Jonathan and the cop looks at him. Jonathan has to swallow before he can speak. I think I know who he is. The cop says nothing and just waits for Jonathan to finish. It was a long time ago. I was on my way home after the Sadie Hawkins dance. I killed a girl in another car. Her name was Katie Oliver. The cop looks down in respect. Jonathan motions to Teddy. I think that's her little brother. I should have recognized the name, but I didn't put it together until you said he had my mugshot. The cop nods and shrugs. Well, for now, we have him on criminal trespassing, and I'll hit him up for menace by stalking. We might even be able to bump it to aggravated assault because of the weapons. Jonathan nods. There'll probably be a detective assigned. He'll probably get hold of you in the next couple of days. The cop turns and walks away. Jonathan watches Teddy sitting in the back seat of the cruiser, and he's calm. Jonathan walks back into his kitchen and he sees a note on the counter and an empty 40 weighing it down. He picks it up. It's headed Jonathan in sloppy cursive. I don't know if you recognized me or my name, but I've been wanting an apology from you for a very long time. I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about killing you, watching you die like I had to watch my sister in the hospital. Jonathan continues to read. But I know it's not right, and it wouldn't make me feel better about anything. I thought a lot last night on what could make me feel better, and then I thought about you, your work with the mission, your work with the Boys and Girls Club, letting a stranger stay with you because he's going through hard times. Jonathan takes a deep breath. I think what it all comes down to is that an apology from you won't make me feel better and won't help me move on. I think to move on, I have to forgive you. Honestly, wholeheartedly forgive you. Jonathan puts the note down and looks around at all the empty beer cans and 2 empty 40s sitting on the counter. I'm sure you would have apologized if you knew who I was, but you don't have to. You already have with the way you live your life. Jonathan walks to the sink and sniffs the drain and recoils at the smell. And I know you don't need to hear this, but I'm saying it more for me than for you. I forgive you, John. Jonathan looks again at all the empties and smiles. I can say it now and honestly mean it. Jonathan turned towards the refrigerator and a yellow newspaper clipping catches his eye. He walks over to it. "I forgive you," wrote Teddy. Back in Jonathan's kitchen, it's now nighttime. Teddy stands at the sink. He opens and empties the cans of beer down the drain. "I know I want to live the way you have, by giving yourself." Teddy stops and walks over to the refrigerator. He notices an old newspaper clipping half hidden under a coupon. He pulls it out. An obituary of a young girl, Katie Oliver, 18. Teddy kisses his finger and touches it to Katie's face. He leaves the picture under a magnet in front of all the coupons and the food flyers. Again, the note. "I know that there's a lot more to life than just struggling to get by yourself." Teddy walks back and continues to pour the rest of the cheap beer down the sink. And the scene fades to black. Good night. It's time for sleep.